I don't think I've ever had a time where I asked my friend, yo, man, how do you feel about that? Never. You know, my mom died, and my boy didn't say, hey, Kev, man, I heard your mom died. So how do you feel about that? You know how we deal with it? That's messed up, man. You good? If you need anything, let me know, man. That's it.
I need y'all to do me a favor. Hit that like button, share my videos. Please make sure you subscribe. Make sure your notification buttons are turned on to all. Subscribe to my alternative channel just in case YouTube give me the slip or something. You'll know how to find me. Don't forget to check me out with all the podcasts and follow me on Rumble in the Jungle. All the links are listed below. If you want to donate to my channel, feel free. Those links are below as well.
Okay, welcome to Kevin's Corner again from my car. I spend a lot of time driving. But anyway, today I want to talk about a topic real quick. And I think a lot of people ask this question. Relationship building. Why when people get married, it seems like the relationship just declines. It just seems to drop. And it becomes discouraging sometimes, and people question whether they married the right one or not. And I think there has to be a distinction between determining whether the person is the right one based off of negative behavior or the right one based off of neutral behavior. Now, what do I mean by that? It is very hard for human beings to sustain a high level of energy and excitement about anything over time. And when people are dating, that level of excitement and energy is heightened. They're operating off of endorphins and dopamine and all these other chemical responses, and you're not even showing the other person anything negative because you are in close the deal mode. You are making sure that you highlight the positive things and none of the negatives. In fact, and most of the time, the context of dating, it's not even designed to reveal the opposite side of yourself. It's designed to show that person you care about them, you're having fun with them, and so on and so forth. You're not going home paying bills most of the time. The reality of this is forever hasn't even kicked in during the dating time. And then the other factor is the subconscious drive to form what appears to be a sincere effort to establish a relationship. Now, men, I'm not throwing you under the bus. This is just something that men have to understand, that it's a process that you go through with every relationship. And before I even explain it, give you this. People will buy things that they swear up and down they want so bad. And they're like, man, I can't wait. If I was to get this car, if I was to buy this house, and they will get it and clean it and wash it and make sure it's taken care of. You don't want nobody to eat in that car. You don't want nobody to track mud in your house. But over time, it's just human nature to become complacent or too familiar with that item to where you're not as hypersensitive to all of the details. And so that's the one major character flaw within humans, just pretty much, that people do not take into account when they establish a relationship. Your expectation has to be very realistic and sober. And you have to also understand the different phases of the relationship. In the dating phase, yes, a lot of it is an illusion. And it feels exciting. It feels wonderful. Your senses are heightened. But you have to also know that you won't be able to sustain that high level of excitement for the rest of your life. So you have to approach it very sensibly. Enjoy it. You know, what it is right then. You know, you're going, wow, I feel this way, therefore it is real to me. But there will come a time when a lot of that crashes. Now, herein lies the problem. Men's interpretation of relationships are oftentimes different than women's interpretation, long term. But where the mistake comes in is during the pursuit mode, when a man is pursuing a woman or dating a woman, his efforts appear to be in alignment of the woman's expectations and desires to build a relationship. what he has to ask himself is, am I really sincerely trying to build a relationship through communication, spending time, listening, and all those things because I value relationships? Or am I doing these things because I am still in close the deal mode? And what happens is, once the deal is closed, it's like a salesman. When a salesman or woman claims they want to build relationships with clients, they're lying to themselves. They do not want to build the relationship with the client. They're not going to be going golfing and hanging out at Christmas time and stuff. They almost have to believe that they're sincere when they say, oh, I want to build a relationship with my clients. I want them to just really feel like they can trust me. Yeah, that's all good and all. But at the end of the day, there is a benefit to building that relationship. You're trying to close that deal. And once that deal is closed, oftentimes that salesperson don't come around as much. They're not calling. They're not too hypersensitive to listen to everything that their client complains about. You know, they're going, I know that I needed to build that relationship so you would trust me and close this deal. But now that I got the deal closed, I realized that I really wasn't that sincere about forming a relationship with you versus the outcome that our relationship would yield. And so what men have to do during the pursuit mode is question their motive. They have to say, am I really building this relationship because I just love this woman and I love being around her? Or am I being motivated by my subconscious need and desire to mate with this woman, or to close this woman, or to win over her heart? Now, once the deal is closed, here comes the problem. Women, oftentimes, or more times than none, their ideal of building relationships is exchange of information, exchange of feelings, exchange of communication, spending time, working through obstacles together to create memories and create that bond. Guys, when you look at how guys form relationships with each other, it's nothing more than just exchange of topical information and activities that we do to make us feel like we're close to each other. We don't sit back and ask each other about feelings. I don't think I've ever had a time where I asked my friend, yo man, how do you feel about that? Never. You know, my mom died and my boy didn't say, hey Kev, man, I heard your mom died. So how do you feel about that? You know how we deal with it? That's messed up, man. You good? If you need anything, let me know, man. That's it. I don't know if I'd be even cool with my boy saying, hey, Kev, how did that make you feel? I could lose my job. Matter of fact, men oftentimes misdiagnose their own feelings and emotions. A guy can, man, I walked in, I caught my girl cheating on me. Man, I was madder than a mug. You weren't mad, you were hurt, but you can't say that because it would fall in the category of feelings. So you say I was mad, but because that's a masculine feeling and emotion. But saying I was hurt is a weak emotion. So men, we don't even form relationships oftentimes like women, but it appears that we are forming them like a woman during the dating process. And once the dating is over and it falls into formality and you are married, then all of a sudden there's a drastic decline in that exchange of information, that time that you spend, that acute awareness of everything that person does and being attentive. If that drastically declines, to the woman, what that is interpreted as I married the wrong person, or this guy deceived me. You have to take an account of humanity. Humanity is not sustainable when it comes to your effort, your passion, and all of that stuff. It will crash just like any drug. You take a drug, you're gonna be high for a second, but you gotta come down off of it and live in reality. So it doesn't mean that you have to panic and say, oh my God, I married the wrong person. Is once you get married and you feel like, oh crap, he don't do the same stuff. He's not as aware and acute that he used to be over my feelings and my emotions. What happens now is he's dealing with the reality of I'm a human and I'm no longer in pursuit mode. I've accomplished my goal and objective, and now I'm falling into complacentness. And it's not good, but you have to recognize when you're there to try to come up out of that. You have to diagnose it accurately and call it for what it is and not misinterpret what that drop-off is. If you don't know that this is a part of a relationship process, you will misdiagnose what's going on, and you will assess all types of other reasons to it, because she don't do this no more, she don't do her hair, and she this and this and that. And the woman's complaining and wanting to talk about it and discuss it will appear to be, she's nagging me, man, she's driving me crazy. But really, she's looking at it like, I'm noticing a drastic difference that does not fit my mode of how a relationship should be, and how it should be sustained, and how it should be built. And I'm calling you in to question on it. And to you, it's a problem, because you're going, I don't feel like making the efforts that I used to make when I was dating you to make you feel like, wow, he's really into me and wants to build this relationship. So it's not something that you need to panic about immediately. You just have to recognize the fact that if your expectation is that you will engage with this person at the same level of excitement, passion, and energy throughout the introduction, the dating, the marriage, and beyond, you might be a little delusional. Now, are there exceptions to the rules? I'm sure there are. But human behavior over history has shown us that oftentimes sustainable energy decreases, comes up, decreases. So don't panic initially when you feel like, well, he doesn't do the same things he used to do, and he's, you know, don't go into full-blown, I'm gonna make you into a home improvement project, and every day you get home, I'm gonna sit you down and go over 10 things that we need to work on to build this relationship. Just understand, let me give him time to adjust to the fact that he is no longer in, I need to close this deal mode. And, you know, he needs to recognize that and slowly but surely start building your relationship other ways, you know. And now, here's the other thing, too, when it comes to this whole relationship situation. Guys have to also recognize the fact that, man, I have made this decline. There has been some changes. And am I starting to change and become aggressive and belligerent and rude and disrespectful and cold and indifferent? Or have my level of interest just declined and I'm not as engaging and exciting to her anymore as I was, because I'm no longer in pursuit mode? What the man don't want to do is look at her potentially legitimate concerns about the decline in the relationship and go on attack mode and say, you know what, you get me sick, I'm going to now start doing things to hurt you. I'm gonna start doing things to really make you mad, because he's not aware of, yeah, I do have a responsibility of still trying to build and formulate a healthy, sustainable relationship. And that right there becomes a crucial understanding. It's a self-awareness issue. It's really a psychological evaluation of understanding human behavior, understanding your subconscious motives, and not misinterpreting your true intent for pursuing and building a relationship in the beginning, then wondering, why don't I feel the same way after the relationship is established? Just recognize what mode you are in. If you're in sales mode and you're trying to close a deal, fellas, just be aware of it, you know, and then ask yourself honestly, once I close the deal, can I sustain that same level? And ladies, don't panic if that seems to decline. Don't go into full-blown, I'm gonna beat you up over the head every day, sit you down for 3 hours in front of the coffee table, and we're gonna talk for 3 hours until I drag all the feelings and emotions out of you, because that will also have a negative result too. So that's just a little small tidbit of information about relationship building, and we will talk more about it soon. Thanks for tuning in to Kevin's Corner.